Hello.
Yay! Hello!
We just looked. It's been since August.
Yeah, 8 months since our last product rant, which is crazy. Shame on us.
Shame on us. But here we are.
Here we are. And if you're not watching, we have our usual cups with us. So grab a cup while you listened. And what are we going to be ranting about tonight?
We were thinking AI and product and how it all mixes in today's world and how to survive with all this FOMO.
Can you believe it is April 2026 and only now we are ranting about AI? Finally! And oh my God, AI again. Yeah, oh my God.
So it's good to see you again.
Yeah.
I am Anna-Liisa and this is Maria.
Hello.
And welcome to Product Rants.
Yes, so this is a spin-off of the Styling Product Group if you're not subscribed, but this podcast sounds like an exciting reason for you to do it now. We are just a bunch of product professionals in tiling in different companies sharing our opinions, our knowledge, our experiences, and Anna-Liisa and I just rant about the things that otherwise would be very nicely polished, but we just go without filters into our thoughts and opinions and hopefully help you relate a little bit with some of the things that you're going through professionally in product.
Yeah, and this is your cue that if you are not into unfiltered and kind of unprepared rants and talks, then this is where you hit stop. Because the thing about product rants is we never have the conversation before. We have the conversation on this camera and on this microphone. So we have no idea what this is going to be.
Yeah, we don't know where this is going to go. We just have the topic. We choose it, we grab our cuppas, and then we get into it. So if you're into this mess, join us and let's just start talking about this. I don't know. I'm wondering, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you think AI and product?
Fear of missing out. It's a full-time job, keeping up with everything that is going on, because as a product manager, or I feel like I need to be on top of what the latest tech is in order to make good decisions on how we could use it in development or in my work at all times. And it's been echoed through like LinkedIn and other posts, but it's a full-time job and we are doing it. I am doing it, and yet I still feel like I'm behind all the time. So that's like thing one that kind of comes into mind. But secondly, also it's super fun. It's a ride that I never thought that I would be on in this way, and I am very excited. And what about you?
I can relate to the FOMO bit. I'm more chill now, and there's been an event in life happening that kind of brought me down to planet Earth, but I was feeling a lot of FOMO as well. And I don't know, opening any kind of media where we talk about technology would make me feel like, oh my God, like more stuff to catch up with. I mean, that together to whatever you read in the news, it felt like trying to be up to date was a torture walk. But recently I have felt more relaxed with it, just because, I feel I'm busy with something real that has shown me that while this can be useful, the main problems of the world remain challenging and probably not solvable with AI. But also because there is, I try my best to expose myself to information outside of one circle only. It kind of centers you. And so I interact with other worlds and communities that are not in our bubble, which is why I guess, there was this study going around that people were sharing furiously or excitedly, where I think it was a research by Claude, where they're like, these are the number of human beings that have had any interaction with AI, because we feel like this choking kind of feeling, you don't know anything, have you tried this and that and this other thing? And then you're like, yeah, you feel like you're running behind, and then you see the number even if you remove from the world statistics the people that have no access to internet, only a tiny fraction of us have been exposed to AI.
Yeah.
And so I was feeling FOMO, but I'm feeling more what I like to feel when there's something new, curious, interested, but not dragged by it, like if it was some sort of tsunami, which is how it felt up until recently.
I think, do you remember like a year ago or so? I don't remember when you did the cursor workshop. You were very reluctant on trying vibe coding, and it was like, I felt back then that it was such a huge pressure already to do it and to be on top of things that I felt reluctant to try. And I think you were somewhere along the lines of the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, I think what kept me away from trying any of this was that I just heard people talking about the technology, but I couldn't understand. I am about to sound like your typical pain in the ass product manager, but it was like, what problem are you trying to solve? And it was like, well, I mean, I respect the curiosity of trying something for the sake of trying it, but it was getting obsessive. And then the language that people use, kind of like when I heard people talking about Bitcoin. First time I heard about Bitcoin was 2010. And it was like something that sounded like it was being invented in some very small laboratory somewhere by very smart people. But then when it became mainstream, it was just annoying. And I bet the same thing is with AI. I didn't hear about it in the early years, but I guess the people really working on it, it was like complicating, analyzing what is possible, what is not. Then it became mainstream, and somehow everybody has it in the vocabulary. So when I was, I don't even remember what got me to try Cursor. Maybe it was the fact that one of the TPG members was
It was, I think, the cursor meetup, and you went to try it. I remember I couldn't come for whatever reason, and you came out super inspired.
Yeah, I actually have to probably place it on the fact that it was taking place in a cafeteria that I like. Yeah, good coffee, I'll be there. And so they were organizing it in this cafeteria, and it was one of those things that it's on a Monday, I think it was, in the middle of the day, and I can actually attend. I was worried. I'm not going to lie. I was really afraid. There were two giant tables. One was for engineers. The other one was for product people. That separation already for me is like, why, right? I had an idea of something I wanted to build related to teaching about money and emotions. And I just sat there. I arrived a little bit late. And the agenda wasn't really very strict. People were more like sharing knowledge around the table. I think that helped. The vibe that people were just sharing knowledge around the table. And I just watched whatever people were showing and doing. And I'm like, okay, I did do the job of installing the thing at home. And now I remember that day, there was an Amazon a downtime moment. AWS was down for whatever reason. So half of the internet was broken. And that included me trying to install Cursor in my computer. But eventually got resolved. I did it before going to the event because I wanted to go straight to business when I was at the event. And yeah, after watching people, hearing some ideas, polishing mine, I spit it all into the agent chatting window, and magic started happening. And I think I just got into it. You know, I got in the flow, something that's really hard for me to experience. 3 hours later, I had something and people were giving me feedback and they liked it. And they were like, when are you going to put it live? And I was like, never. Actually, I haven't. I never put
It's live ready, though.
So yeah, it is technically it's live. It's just not marketed or whatever. But it's true. I forgot about that. And yeah, it was annoying just because it was the technology for the sake of the technology. But once I had an idea that I didn't know how to build on my own, and this sounded like this could be the way to do it, then that gave me the courage to give it a try. And the coffee, the good coffee piece.
Yeah, I think I agree. For me, I remember I'd quite randomly ended up involved in several like AI powered or AI aided projects or products. So I was already familiar with how AI could be used as a technology in order to do things as a product or with a product that you could never do before. However, when this whole vibe coding thing came, it felt like, or at least to me, like trying to get a drink of water out of a firing hose or the like fire hose, you know.
Horrible.
It was just so much all at once. I felt almost like I was already lagging behind before it even started. And then I remember you did the cursor thing, and I was like, oh my fucking God.
Oh, no.
I need to now be a brave girl and then go and do it. And I could never do cursor. Cursor still to this day, I guess now if I tried it, I would not feel as out of depth. But I think like I would need somebody to onboard me on it. However, there was this wonderful tool called Lovable that I did try. But before
You mean this lovable tool?
this lovable tool. But it's true. Before I had an idea, it was very hard to get going because I was like, oh yeah, this is nice. I guess it's like doing things. But the first ones were not quite because I actually didn't know what to build and I was just typing random things in there. And of course, the outcome was not what I expected. And I now, in hindsight, realize that being a product manager in this age is a huge advantage in terms of vibe coding because you already have systems thinking, you already have empathy for the user, you already like have this thing built inside you where you have to build for somebody. And me just dabbling around or trying to, I don't know, see it or trying this tool out or see what it does. That was not my product hat. That was just like, what does this button do?
Yeah.
And that never, this is why I had the horrible experience as the first time. But then as I started having like tangible ideas and tangible target groups in my mind, then everything became magical. Like you said, it's like, you explain what you want. And there's a magical designer and a developer who just do it. They even ask you questions.
Yeah. But there's something I want to pick from what you just said, which is, doesn't that mean then that this is a wonderful tool if you're already an experienced product manager?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because I now do these vibe coding workshops because several people have asked me to share my knowledge, and so I have. It's not really been too methodical, or I go into it and I try to give them the best possible start. And I do notice that people with already background in software development have a much easier time, while people who don't also can achieve things, but you have to have an idea, like a very tangible idea of what you want to build.
Yeah.
And that helps.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you don't, and you don't quite know how to describe what it is that you want to achieve, that part has to then be taught. Because otherwise, the tool is going to be confused, and the end result is going to be like a explosion in a pasta factory.
Well, again, and that's funny because I think that's the same thing what happens if you try to do product without product experience. Like, people get excited about building, about the solution because it's visible, it's tangible. But if you don't understand exactly what is it that you want to achieve, right? What is it that, who is this for? How is it going to work? Where is it going to work? Then you're just playing around, right?
Yes.
Which is not bad. I think it's great that these tools exist, but I also think that there's an obsession with the tools, with the fact that you're able to build. And I am actually a little bit worried about the amount of digital trash. Like, we were worried about I don't know when the concept of digital trash started. But I'm like, now we should be really worried about it because there's a lot more.
But let me challenge your idea. I think that now we finally can build, like, okay, it's still a tiny bit with an asterisk, but now building software or digital tools is no longer for the privileged. And by privileged, I mean developers. They have been building software for themselves for decades.
Yeah.
Now it is for a wider audience. And I think that while there is going to be a lot of personalized tools that you only build for yourself, also a lot of services on the market are going to die off. So yeah, in a way, trash in, trash out.
Well, it's true. I mean, that's what we experience. So just to give context to listeners, watchers, we had this workshop where I invited you to show my lady friends in this community of women's business. I thought this was the perfect target group, right? Once we came across Lovable and the way it works, because I now was in those shoes, right, for the last couple of years, trying to build my own thing. And when you're a solopreneur, there's all these things you have to deal with. And there's no way, especially if you're in the early stages of your business or if it's a small business, that you're going to have money to pay for all the tools out there. Everyone wants a subscription. You need a subscription for booking meetings and a subscription for recording things and a subscription for creating materials to publish in your marketing site and a subscription for maintaining your site. And there's so many subscriptions and it's overwhelming. And then the experts, like, yeah, of course you wish you could pay an engineer and a designer and a marketer and a personal branding expert, but it becomes a lot. And so when I knew you got, it's funny because you just asked me how getting started was for me, and I, took the leap, but then suddenly once you tried it, like nobody could stop you. And then I'm suddenly inviting you to give a workshop. And then in that workshop, I was like, okay, Anna-Liisa is into this workshop thing. I think this friends would be the perfect audience because I could see them struggling with so many areas of the business where I thought, this is not a hugely complicated software solution. And I bet this is where vibe coding could help. And it's funny because we're talking about the era of AI and product, but we're also somehow going into the vibe coding route, which explains how exciting and naturally that is one thing that might have a lot of promising things to give us. I didn't know what was going to happen, but it was amazing.
Yeah.
I actually would love to follow up to see what they're doing now with some of those solutions, but it was a matter of minutes. Like the whole event was like what, less than 3 hours, all of it together.
Yes.
And
we had dessert in the middle, so it was
as well. Exactly. And so it was very nice to see how people who you wouldn't place in the development world, people that don't build software, maybe they work with a marketing tool and that's about it.
But they were entrepreneurs. So now I wonder, I don't know, I'm going with this as I think of it. I think that they had very tangible outcomes in mind. So that is what the difference is. Whether you go already with a problem that you want to solve, okay, you can learn prompting on the way. But if you don't have this goal or you don't know what it needs to do or why you're doing it, then it's much harder.
Yeah. I mean, and again, I don't want to have in this conversation black or white position on where I stand with AI and vibe coding tools. I do have very black positions about elements of it, and I have very white positions or opinions about some of it. So I guess I'm in a gray space here, because then that's the other aspect with Discover, which is it's super easy and it's very accessible. But now there's also another loophole, which is the security bit, right? Like how that is also creating yet another space for scammers to do their thing and hackers. And it's like, I don't know, I think they're having the time of their lives, hackers and scammers these days.
True, but again, like it's a question of who you build it for. And if you start productizing it, like, I did a donations website. If you use already secure services like a payment provider and make sure that you don't save any personal data there and maybe have a friend in tech who can have a look at it before you ship it live. I don't think it's, at least with Lovable, they've built in the security part. It's probably not the best, but I can see now, like with Claude Code, I feel it's very dangerous all the time, like everything that I do, and whether now this is enough or not, that just the depth and width of where it goes is kind of untangible to me. But maybe I will like find my ground. But that said, do you think that the magic in the eyes of the ladies that learn to vibe code overweighs the current like short-term blip of vibe coding not being safe?
Well, yes and no. It's like I'm very happy to see, as you said, that now other people have access to doing things that they couldn't do before. But I think it has to come like, recommending it, showing people how to do it has to come with the responsibility of, hey, this is the additional layers you should take care of. This is the kind of help you should look for, because there is the danger, and many people are not going to know to ask those questions. And I think, like with any new technology or tool that appears in the world, we should, be open to try it. We should recognize the value it adds, but we should also be conscious of the dangers it can represent and kind of try to advance with those two things in hand. I think I don't want to give an answer that is, you're not going to hear me say it totally overweights it, it's totally worth it, or no, it should be, I don't think it's completely blockage. People shouldn't have access to that. This is so dangerous, but I also don't think it should be the magic in their eyes overpowers everything else and it shouldn't matter. I'm like, somewhere in between, a super gray space for me right now, because there are moments when I love it and there are moments when I hate it. Like another thing I hate, and I love it at the same time, is how addictive it can be.
Yeah.
Like I see it and I'm going to change. So I built this personal app for myself. And the reason why I kept it personal is because I thought it was going to be super tailored to myself. And even if someone says, can I try it? There's a lot of personal medical health data there, and I don't want to have to deal with the privacy things, dealing with someone else's information in my database. So, but I say, I'm like, I'm going to make this small change to it. And I think it's going to be a 10-minute thing. And I did it for 3 hours. And there's something nice about the flow state, but I think there's also something extremely annoying about that sense of close to addiction. So I am very cautious of tools that have me lose track of time.
That's interesting, because with a couple of my projects, I've realized I've reached where I'm actually happy with it, and I no longer feel the need to go into it.
That's true. Now that you mention it, my app is ready, and I just use it every day.
Yeah.
And there are changes I've made to it, but at the beginning it was obsessive. But it did reach a point where maybe I've made a change every couple of weeks, tiny little improvements, but I don't think about just sitting and coding for it. So you might be right there.
Maybe that is the perfect product life cycle. And I think that maybe if we slice, we don't ask the question in such a wide way, or we define what is safe or what is not by slicing the cake a little bit differently. Maybe if we make choices for ourselves, then it is completely fine. Like I am completely fine with, let's say, the government giving me answers about my health data using AI. I don't need to be saved from it. Rather, I would rather have an AI explanation about my health data than read another blood analysis on the Terviseportal and not understand it. So this is how I view this vibe coding thing also. Like, just give me an API. I would happily build my own UI on it and use it for myself. I don't want to be, and I shouldn't take responsibility for other people's information. But I'm fine with however safe it is, or if it's not safe, then well,
okay, my own information. I mean, I think about it, for example, when I process how much information Google has on my life.
Yes.
All of it, basically. I mean, I've been a Google user for, I don't even know, a couple of decades already, maybe. I don't even know. I can't count. Like, I don't know when I created my first account, but I have so much information there. Like, all kinds of information. And sometimes that's the question I ask myself when I'm worried about the data that I'm giving to another tool. And I'm like, okay, how is this different from this other situation? Should I just become one of those people that starts building their own personal, I don't know, photo storage and everything? And I'm just going to have, maybe my solution has been I just take less photos. Who's gonna watch all those thousands of photos of my life anyway? How many cups of coffee can I photograph? And I still do, and I still will. I know I still will. But yeah, I would love to think in terms of what are the different personas for these type of tools. And where do we fit in there, right? Like, bring it on, give it to me. I know there are some risks. I'm ready to take them. Then again, how do you feel about something like OpenClaw? I know, I had to say it.
I read briefly about it. I think I've been too busy with the current tools, so I haven't really gone into it. Why I did not, my bet was that either Claude or something else that I currently trust already will come up with something similar. So I'll just wait it out. So I don't know. Do you have thoughts on it?
Yeah. What were people thinking? I mean, the first time I heard, I just installed this agent in my computer and I gave it access to all my things. And then I'm like, that is a ticking bomb. That's the first time I heard about. That was my reaction when I heard the first time someone was doing XYZ with OpenClaw. It was a matter of days.
You know what I did last week?
What?
I installed Claude Cowork and I was like, yes, have access to the
No. What are you thinking? Okay, so here is where my cautious self is like, I am perfectly fine using these tools where I take a piece of data. I understand what that piece of data is and what would mean to me if I use that data, and I give it to it for it to do something with it. But the whole access,
no, the thing is, like my Mac does not have almost anything like safe.
sure no.
It only has the downloads folder, which mostly has like stuff that I don't care if it.
Cat photos.
Yes, cat photos, screenshots, whatnot of things. So I wanted to try it out.
No, I couldn't. For me, it was like, no, that's the one thing I'm gonna wait out. I'm not in a rush here. I'm like, I've been mostly focused on using the tools that are completely isolated, and then they will have only what I give them, like Lovable or Cursor, like this project in this folder, or the tools that are already embedded in an environment that I am a part of. Like, I don't know, Gemini is available in my Google environment, I will give it a try. Notebook LLM is available in an environment, I'll give it a try. But I'm completely reluctant to work with an AI tool that suddenly is going to sit in my computer. You're not allowed in here.
What I used it for was when I was setting up Claude Code on my computer, then and I was playing with skills and agents and whatnot, and where the projects are. There, Cowork was very instrumental because it just created my markdown files in the right folder and moved them and etc. It was just. I find the Mac OS very tedious when it comes to the file system, and it helped out a lot.
Okay.
But otherwise, yeah, I don't think there's been enough time. But that said, like regarding that and coming back to like product and how AI and vibe coding has helped, I think, especially with vibe coding, now we are in the middle of redefining what product work looks like with these tools. Because again, I cannot stress this enough. I don't know how to be or look excited enough in this video, but to me, it feels like handcuffs have been taken off. I have spent my career waiting on the backlog of the designer or the development team, etc., in order to be a solution thinker. And I always come to the problem eventually, but I think it's human nature. I've not done a product workshop where people have not started with the solution. Maybe it's time that we embrace that, because now starting with the solution and trying it out and starting discovery alongside having the solution already, or I don't know, refining your own thoughts through visual aids such as Lovable or Figma Make without having to waste somebody else's time to gather your own thoughts. I think it's just magical.
Yeah.
Because I used to get the greatest ideas when I sat together with a designer, and it wasn't necessarily the fact that they were, or I was at a point where they could contribute enough. I had not even verbalized things enough, and they were doing things, and I was like, yeah, no, yeah, no, yeah, but it does to do that. Ah, yeah, I remembered that. I felt always that it was a waste of their time, and in a way, it was, because for me to structure my own thinking, I had to learn Figma in order to do that, because I'm a visual thinker, and now I no longer have to. I can make the prototype. I can already have like some sort of market feedback, or I can make the prototype on the first feedback that I receive, or the ideas or whatever data I have, and I can already like either use it to structure my own thoughts, or go to the potential customer, see what like speaks to them, whatnot. And once I've come to this, I don't know, where I feel good about it, I no longer feel like I have to go back and I can go to the team and say, look, this is it.
Yeah, I think it has its place in many steps of the product management process. Like, this is my 4th week at a new job, and I was curious about how AI was going to help me, if at all, onboarding. And one of the things that I realized is that it was useful if I wanted to take a few steps back after getting 1-2 weeks worth of data. But it was not going to make my brain faster. So for example, in onboarding, I cannot use it to learn about the new area I am in, which has its very specific technicalities, right?
Yeah.
And I need to understand them to be able to be effective at work. And that is my brain doing its thing, right? So that's where I feel, for example, that where it helps you take notes and synthesize information. Sometimes I don't want it, because sometimes I want the process that my brain goes through when I'm going to draw what I just heard, to see if I just understood it in the right way. And that is more likely to stay in my long-term memory. And so I've been like, again, it's not a black or white. Like, there's a meeting where I maybe use one of those note-taking assistants, because there's going to be things I want to go back to, and it's going so fast that I just want to maybe pick up on a couple of words or things when I'm writing it down. But when it's something where I need to then create, right, or connect a lot of different pieces of information, then I need my brain to do the difficult thing, and I don't want to do. I don't want the AI help, because at that point it's not helping me, right? It's actually bypassing something that I need my brain to go through to learn. But where it did help me, that like you're talking about, actual product work, right? So I had the luck, and I have to highlight this, of being able to start from a discovery piece of work rather than straight into fixing something broken in production. I was given, and I think that's very privileged as a product manager, a topic that I just started researching. And I've been using AI to help me organize a lot of the information. So where it helps me, for example, like I've always been good at asking the right questions to find it in the massive amount of information you have online, maybe because of the era where I started using it. But what this gives me is a fastest way to access tons of sources. So instead of me scanning one by one, I get 15 sources. I'll very quickly scan them, see the summary, and then select from these 15, I care about these 3. I will still go and pick one of the other ones I discarded randomly to make sure I am discarding something that's worth discarding. But then I stay with what I need. And the amount of time it takes me to do that compared to how much it would have taken me to do this manually, that's amazing. But then, and I'm yet to see how this works with actual customers, I spend my time doing the research. Again, I did it in a time that would have probably been 3 times longer without these tools. I still do my typing. I love typing, writing, like, and I found this former sort of older colleague that doesn't come to the office, mechanical keyboard. Oh my God, my new colleagues must be hating me, because I just go like, but I love writing because, again, it's part of the process of digesting that information, seeing if I'm asking the right question, like, where is the risk in this? Is this really a problem? Where do I have the evidence that this is a problem? So the proper sort of questions. But of course, I was able to jump into solution mode. And so I spent the bulk of the time doing the research, and then I fed it to Figma Make. And I said, okay, there's already components in there. There's already, this is the way things look for us. And this is the thing I researched that I want to test. Build a prototype based on this. And what you said about waiting behind for a designer's backlog, an engineer backlog. Again, the designer took the time to define components. It's on their part. And I just have to use that. And magic. That's a moment where I was like, this is magic. This is amazing. So I get a prototype. I still have to test it with real users. But the speed with which this happened, I did a research and I built a prototype in less than a week.
Yeah. And now this makes me wonder how much bias went into product work before when as you went with iterations, it became more tedious and more like treading on eggshells. And at what point did we just pull the plug on the iterations just because it was too much work? And that's, I think, the epitome of this phase's decision making. I think that we can go further in our research now, use the time better, and get closer to what the actual solution could be instead of just shipping it or like stopping the research because now it's good enough, because otherwise it becomes too expensive and it doesn't make sense anymore. I think that this time that we have now left compared to before can be put into maybe going in depth into the same thing, and only then involving the team.
Well, to me, it's lovely because I realized that the things that I have thought are valuable in product management, I feel they remain valuable.
Yes.
You see, I'm still asking, and that was a big question I had. Like, how does this whole AI thing affect the fact that I'm in a new environment? This is our new colleagues. These are new. This is a new sector, a new area of knowledge for me altogether. And guess what? The fundamentals remain. Is this idea that we're pushing forward really valuable for the business? Do customers care about this? How do we know this? And there's no AI that can solve this. It can accelerate it, but just as it can accelerate the right questions, it can also send you on a crash phase off with the wrong work, right?
Yes.
So I think that's where I'm still in, like, it's black or white. Depends on like how we're going to use it. I know it depends is a very annoying answer to anything, but it's true. It depends.
It do depend. It do depend. It does depend. But I think that like another way of working that I've tried is I do the research and I do the prototype in Figma Make, and I have the UI basically that I think constitutes what the product should be. And I give it to a friend of mine who's a developer, and this exercise has served two purposes. First, to see how now a product manager and the developer who doesn't have to deal with legacy, so that's the asterisk there, could interact with each other. Like, how much of the work can I do and how much of it can he use with Claude doing the planning and the development, and how fast can we ship things? We could do it using exactly the same amount of time. Like, I did the research and the kind of planning and the description in the form of UI, and he did the development, taking care of the security and the he calls Claude like a junior developer. So he did the code reviews and adjustments that it needed. And what the wonderful thing is, I've been preaching this for a decade now. Put the product out there. If customers buy it, then it's a good one. If not, then, well, we have to sunset it. But in reality, before now, it was nearly impossible to do because so much work always went into it. So it became your baby and it became impossible to pull the plug almost psychologically.
Yeah.
But now you can.
Yeah, I hope you're right, and people will have an easier time killing things, because I remember having very heated discussions with stakeholders in the past, because they didn't want something to get killed, and I was like, but look at the data. Nobody's using that. They don't care about it.
Yeah, but that now I have products out there with Stripe links.
Yeah.
I realize that they do need marketing in order to fly, but I finally get to ship products, and it's not insanely expensive, and it's like I don't know where it's gonna take me, but it's a playground. I feel truly like I'm 5 years old, and I have Lego blocks. I just have sheer joy using them and see, oh, what does this button do? Let's see.
Yeah.
And if it's safe enough, I don't see problem with it. Like if you have a person that is your kind of there to discuss.
Yeah. I'm actually dying to try that flow, because I'm convinced that part of where we will start adding value, and I've seen stories of other people already doing it, is, there's this thing I discovered that is broken. And I did discover some things broken in my first week, and I wish I could just fix them, because you can see there's small things. And if I was given access to the repo and I had a tool to just fix it, and then someone else, an actual engineer reviews it, I would, right?
Yes.
So I'm actually dying to try that, because I think that's another part that would change the way we do work in product. But I wanted to highlight what you mentioned there, which is, you have a lot of products out there, but another thing that hasn't changed is we still need the market and the distribution. We still need the awareness. We still need the desire, and that's still a tough part.
It is true. Like if we want to build for the general public or for large quantities of people, then yes. But I recently had the thought exercise on what if in the future, in every family there's this person that gets called every time that a computer is broken or whatever tech problem that there is, and they fix it. What if in the future that person becomes the vibe coder? Because I am that person in my family. And now for my mom, I can make an Estonian speaking app with a large enough buttons and I don't know, friendly enough language that she would like, and that does exactly what I needed to do for her, so that she does it. What if this is the future, that it's not actually like a big part of the software is no longer for the masses, but rather for private use.
Yeah. Era of personalized software. I mean, so far that's how I use vibe coding. Like, I think we it's a rant. So, but more than ranting, I think we've been also like breaking it down into what's broken and what's not, what's good and what's not in this new world we're in. But I don't know if you've noticed that we've moved between, like, okay, there's the vibe coding part of AI and building things and trying things.
Yes.
Is it for tech people, not tech people, and also the how are we using AI in the traditional product management work. But I agree with you that that's the part where I've used vibe coding as well for a lot of personal solutions that I just don't see scaling, and they don't have to, because that's where you see a lot of the frustration in existing products. Yeah, but it doesn't do it like this. Oh, but I would like it like that, but I wouldn't. I would like it this other way.
Yes.
The question I still have about that, and time will show us, is what will the costs of these will be? Like, yes, we've canceled subscriptions, but what will, like, I build this app and I'm taking photos of everything that I'm eating. It's not Instagram. It's just basically, it looks at the photo and says what's in there. Oh, there's protein, there's vegetables. That's what I wanted to track food. I get
You made that?
Yeah, I mean, AI already does it. I just put it into a feature in my product, in my app for myself.
Did not think of that. There's an actual startup that I keep getting spam ads of that does that and sells that to you with a monthly subscription.
Yeah, it really does it so well. And I didn't want the calories. I didn't want the amount. I just want to know, did I eat enough vegetables today? Oh, I've had only protein. I had too many sweets. What? I just wanted the big picture thing. And then it doesn't. But I was like, I wonder what's going to happen with all of this storage. And then at one point I got a warning, like, your monthly storage is getting full. And I'm like, do I need all of these pictures? No, it already scanned the information. Okay, delete the photos once a week, 4 photos all the day.
Push them to Google Drive.
I don't need them. because I just need the
Okay,
data
yeah,
at that point.
yeah.
And actually, again, this is a beautiful thing of iteration. It's just like, I actually eat sometimes this thing over and over again. Can I have like recent reuse instead of calling the AI filter to? So, it's the natural thing in product management, just much faster.
Yes.
It's so much faster. It's just crazy. But yeah, there's that bit of the vibe coding. But if we take it back to the marketing bit, I was just thinking, yes, okay, the marketing part continues to be difficult. You still need to put the product in the right hands and the right product.
Yes.
But now there's so much noise because everyone can create anything. Everyone's writing in the same stupid structure and format. Like, people, come on, writing is thinking. Stop puking out those emojis that AI gives you. And I totally hate the titles it gives. Why does it have to give weird, fancy titles to everything? Break the content down into title, subtitle, subtitle with weird, ridiculous names. Like, I just don't like that. And I think that is actually making it harder for content marketers.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's going to be like with ads, where you had people developing kind of like a blindness to ads. And you have people developing blindness to certain types of content, and they're running away from certain spaces and going into these niches where, like, do you write your real thing? Okay, yes, let's go back to the world where we read things that we actually wrote and not that AI regurgitated.
Yeah, I have a personal vendetta against all the LinkedIn sales messages that I get. I get that you train the bot to read my LinkedIn profile and try to have the messages tailor-made for me. But I am not an actual CPO. I'm a visiting one. No, I don't need QA or designers or hordes of external developers. I'm a solopreneur.
You're too nice because you open them.
I even used to, I used to reply to them. And then I realized they spent less time thinking about this message than I spent reading it. And I think it's an assault to my mental health.
But that's the thing. I have developed blindness, deaf. What do you call like
Deafness?
deaf? I don't know.
Something.
I
whatever.
can't hear. I can't read. A lot of these things anymore. I don't pick up the phone because cameras. And when I pick it up, most of the time I'm asking more questions than answering them. I don't. There's our cert. I don't blame the hyphen. I don't think we should blame the hyphen. But I totally hate the weird titles.
Yeah.
The title, they're all the same. Everyone's honest, let's be honest. And then there's always three little things that they're saying. This is a space, transparent, honest, and full of real conversation. Like, that's so AI written. And the sad part is that at one point a human came up with all of those words and ways of speaking, but somehow they became way too favorite, and now they're like, it's just so annoying. So I've become blind. I don't read inbox LinkedIn messages from people I don't know. I don't. I am unsubscribing more than I'm subscribing to newsletters and all kinds of things. Ads. No.
So product people, if you have a word for that, like I would highly recommend doing some research work in whether that approach is working or actually working against you, because I share that with Maria, and I think it's doing more harm than good, because I will unsubscribe and I will without any explanation block you now, because I no longer want to receive these messages. I have through that become less reactive, which I guess is good, and more proactive. But I realized that through this kind of behavior, I'm also missing possible opportunities. But somehow that's okay, because I am also protecting myself. This is again the fire hose and the glass of water type of thing. I never asked for this, and the fact that you segmented me into one of your possible customers does not mean that you should be spamming me with these and like Being an Estonian and an introvert, I guess I don't miss I'd like to say I don't miss the human interaction, but I actually do.
Me too.
The authenticity.
It's funny that you say this, and I know this is not AI, and I know this is not product, but it does add to the efficiency we've been building around us with all of these tools, and I guess AI does contribute to that. But I was just saying that to a colleague today at lunch, which was, I think we've become so efficient that we're creating a lot of loneliness. I was thinking of old people and having to go to an office to solve a problem, and that was probably the place where they needed to interact. And I know people are going to go like, yeah, there's other ways to have human connection. But before we break the existing spaces of human connection, maybe we should think about what are the ways in which we're going to create other ones. It doesn't have to be a public office or an inefficient thing, but where are we creating the spaces to connect?
Exactly, because you can't just throw AI at everything. I agree, it will help a lot of places and a lot of people and a lot of problems, but it can't be everywhere, and with like everything can't be optimized. I don't want to be optimized.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You think that you are like you have a higher capacity now because AI will do a lot of your work, but you also miss the mark a lot more.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah. There is that space where I think maybe in terms of subscriptions and the types of products that are created, there's like trash out. But I think in the content space, AI is giving us a huge problem. It's huge. There's a lot of trash when it comes to content.
That is true. And another thing that, as you were thinking, that it brought a thought to me is I think that this whole AI topic in the product world is, in a way, creating also a lot of loneliness, because I think with the fear of missing out and the constant feeling of being left behind, a lot of the product people, or what I've heard also in the groups and the conversations that I've had, they feel like it's too late to start even.
Yeah.
And you're kind of alone with your problems. You hear and see, like, I don't know, me posting on LinkedIn or the things that the others are like playing with, and you feel like you are so far behind that you don't dare ask, because you will sound dumb and behind and maybe not worth anything on the market.
Yeah. So here's the invitation. And I mean, who wouldn't want to run away from a fire hose pointing at them? I mean, it would kill you, right? So it's a normal reaction. The invitation here is take a step back, don't rush into catching up with things. When you do decide to approach a new tool, do it with curiosity, the one that we had when we were kids and we were trying to understand, oh, what is this thing right here? And somehow you found your mom unmentionable toy on the night table. So just get back to that curiosity rather than, am I doing this because I'm afraid of being left out? Nobody's being left out. And I know it's hard to say that when, yes, we are being laid off and we are being pushed, but that space you were let out of is not the only place in the world or the only space. There are other spaces for you to connect, create, and solve real world problems.
And if you're thinking about and worrying about this right now, you're still an early adopter. You have nothing to worry about. The fact that somebody uses big words in a LinkedIn post and it looks super intimidating, it's just that they are like in a certain step in their journey. Believe me, they're feeling the same as you are. If you're interested in what they're doing and feeling intimidated, just write to them and ask. I don't know if everybody will answer. I know I will. Maybe Maria will not if you think that she doesn't know you. But comment here or reach out. We have these product groups. Just have those conversations. You are not being left behind. And if you want to play around, that's all you have to do. You don't have to become super proficient from day one. All you have to do is try and then decide whether you want to or not, because that is not anything to do with AI or vibe coding. That is the epitome of product work. How do we solve the problem with the best possible technology that is available today?
Yeah. And if that technology doesn't have space in the problem that you're trying to solve, that's also a valid option. And that's okay. Let's say, okay, right now it doesn't help. It doesn't work. You're not going to eat soup with a fork. Why would you?
Yes. The only thing, though, before the technology part was always more on the tech side or in the developer side. So this is the first time in a long while that actually product managers are the ones that get to make that choice to understand whether this technology now helps us get further. So recognize this. This is something that I think in our generation of product managers, or at least on this market, we've never had to face this problem where we can't just hand off the tech side to the developers, or we are not expected to. So this is also a new learning curve. I think it's okay to be a little bit intimidated. I struggle every day that I do vibe coding things. Every day I'm like, okay, this is too difficult. I'll just ask the developer. And then I'm like, okay, one more prompt.
Yeah.
Let's see if it works. And it does.
Yeah.
And it's just a retraining of some sort of patterns in my own thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I think this is a positive mood in which we are right now. And I think it's a perfect time to wrap it up.
Yes.
Our rants have typically been very ranty.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I think this is in a good way, though. I think this is a rant that was also very, I would say, borderline philosophical. Yeah, contemplative. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we really hope it's not 8 months until the next one.
I know the next topic. You just have to say yes.
Yeah, yeah. What is it going to be? Maybe you guys send suggestions of what we should be talking and ranting about next. All right.
Yeah, it's been good to be here.
Yeah.
And see you next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.